There's many genres of jokes that I like, and one of them starts off with, "You know you're getting old when." Probably my favourite in this series, because I found it to be so true, says, "You know you're getting old when you're admiring a pretty young girl and she comes over to you and addresses you as Sir." Well, needless to say, I've been called Sir quite a bit. But I also use it as an example of how age is relative. When you grow up in England and you're surrounded by buildings that were built well before you were born, it just shows perhaps we aren't as old as sometimes we think we are. The Industrial Revolution, of course, saw great expansion in the cities. So I lived around a lot of Georgian and Victorian architecture. That is to say, easily 150, 200 years old. But then, of course, because just of the human lifespan, you see where it all begins to fit in. Just interesting though, when you think about the passage of time, because pretty soon we'll be coming up on 100 years to the sinking of the Titanic. Probably see a revival of the movie of the same name and more talk about it. But also another 4 years, be 100 years to the outbreak of World War I, or the Great War as they then called it, because obviously without World War II you wouldn't be calling it World War I. To me, it doesn't seem that long ago. But I'll give you an example where something did seem a long time ago, and my perspective has changed with the years. It was in the 1960s that there were many documentaries on television concerning the American Civil War, and at the time it just amazed me that people were being interviewed and they were telling stories that they heard from their grandparents of what it was like to be a slave. I was in my early teens and going, wow, people heard about this firsthand. Well, having had a grandfather who served in the trenches in World War I and hearing his stories, I can now realize, of course, 100 years ago, yes, it's before my time, but I was getting first-hand accounts of the war. We have Matthew Brady to thank for his still photographs of the Civil War, and although of course none of us were ever there, we can begin to get a glimpse of what life was like. Movie films were being taken during World War I, and many more people were put on film, although in one respect they seem a bit dated because they're black and white. Nevertheless, we can hear their recollections. So who knows what it's going to be like when 100 years to World War II rolls around and we're getting colour film. And then of course rolling the clock even further forward with soldiers now, at least when regulations permit, they're taking their cell phones into battle with them, and they're actually able to capture film as well. So who knows what will happen there with documentaries. But as I said, that's all an aspect of the relativity of time. Also, says he, glancing at his notes, going onto YouTube, I'll see a lot of younger people when they're commenting on the music. Why was I born in 1980? Why was I born in 1990? anyone born earlier had such great music. Well, as a child of the 60s, yes, I'd say yes, we did have great music. But we have to look back and think people who were born, who created that music for us, not only were they not happy with the music at the time, they threw a lot of creative skill into it. And so you have to wonder, people don't change that much, there must be creative skill around. There should still be great music. Of course, some blame the studios just for wanting instant success and making money. But my usual comment back to these people is, okay, so you weren't growing up with the same music as people of my generation were. But look at all the technologies you have. You can actually log onto YouTube whenever you want. You can watch these videos. But look at all the other advantages that you have. Medical advances. You actually have the cell phone now, which we never had. You've got the video camera, affordable for all. So really, I think we should be happy in the era we're born in. Yes, of course, there's always going to be a disparity in age. Because people are born, people age, people die, life goes on. So we should always look at history as a continuing factor. There's always going to be what was before us, what we personally experience, and when we leave the workforce, leave it to others to continue the creative aspects. But everyone has something to contribute. Some people will be learning about aspects of things that were in our lifetime from history books. But we should never necessarily yearn for a different era just because the rose-colored glasses aspect. We always have something great today, and we have a lot to look forward to as well. So let's use all the creative skills that we can, build that great future, always of course learning from the past, but moving forwards. And if anyone still wants to call me sir, that's okay, because I'm older than the average person.